So like, okay, fine. You were in the music scene before, right? And
Mm-mm.
I read somewhere, I heard somewhere, I do some research that there was a time where you were considering being a musician for a living. Is that true? Or
Mura siya it was more like mas damgo siya than kuan. It was more like um damgo siya instead of like this is really what I'm gonna do. It was like a remnants of whatever it was that I thought I was gonna be when I was in college. I said, okay, I'm by hook or by crook, I'm really going to perform. And the at that time, I thought it was going to be music. It's not totally gone out of my life right now. It's just that I'm focusing on something else. But um, I really didn't expect that I would be working as an actor now professionally. Because I always thought na, okay, one day, mag-musician jud ko. I mean, sure, I will have a day job, but I will be a musician. Kada ina na mga klase nga mga damgo-damgo ba. But what really brought me here was films, actually. I think
yeah, because
similar may og kuan ni Ara. Kay si Ara was also in the music scene before, around the same time that I was. And then when she started exploring film, that was also around the same time that I got um, the first few roles in film that I've ever had. Among them was sa katong iyang film nga Operation Prutas, and then eventually Miss Bulalakaw. So
yeah, I really liked Operation Protas. By the way,
that was a really
I
fun shoot.
rewatched it. I rewatched it again today. No,
Uh,
unfortunately, I have not seen Miss Bulalaka. Okay, it's
uh,
not, it's not readily available
uh,
online. That as far as I know, is it?
Naa siya sa yeah, I'm not I haven't checked how to watch it just yet, but it's part of Pista na Pelikulang Pilipino. They're screening it this year. I'll send you a link later. It's online, but I think kinahanglan siya kanang murag you have to pay like a ticket and then you can see all the films.
Mm,
There's over 140 films dito karon for this film festival. They well, like everything else, it's now online because of the pandemic. But it started. This film festival started if I'm not mistaken, 2017. 2017 man siguro. It's been an annual thing na ever since. And then now it's online and they're screening Bulalakaw apparently. So basig ganahan mo manglantaw mga friends nga naminaw din ha. It's a
yeah,
really
send
good
me the
film
link.
actually. Yeah, sige
I'll
sige.
put it up on the show notes when we post the podcast. Yeah, the
Okay,
reason
sige
why I
sige.
asked about like becoming a musician, kay, I remember back then when we were still when me and my band were still around, and then
Mm,
there were some peripheral talks of like kanang same as you, but like, oh, this would be so cool to do it for a living, and then
yeah.
there was always a conversation about moving to Manila,
Mm-mm.
and then of course like most Cebuanos, probably, I mean, I think you can agree, no, you've lived here long enough. You don't really want to move up there, and the move is always, I mean, it's a you could argue it's necessary, especially like music or kana like being an actor, actress. No, is that still? Do you think that's still the case?
Um, right, feeling yun ako, no? Feeling nako, it's a huge dream, I think, of any artist to not have to leave their hometowns or the towns where they had their cultural awakenings, ba kumbaga, their creative awakenings, kumbaga. It's just unfortunate nga mulagi everything is centered in Metro Manila, and um, I'm gonna be forced to not uh pursue the stuff that I really love to do, that I know that I'm good at if I stayed at home. No, I think to some degree, I wouldn't use the word necessary. Um, saan man ako siya describe? Tinuoray lang no ang first nga word nga musud sa akong utok no kay samok. Samok
Mm.
siya. More siya samok siya nga kinahanglan patamang we all have to go through this sort of diaspora just to be able to um, contribute, or I don't know what's the word, just to be able to show or pursue what it is that we know we're good at, what we all love doing. And it's very important, Mangon, as artists from coming from where we are, but from Central Visayas, also from any other region outside of Metro Manila. Importante man good for artists to be able to pursue their art, because it's beneficial kaayo siya for the general nga introspection nato as a unit, as a regional nga people ba. Art is also introspection, not just for the individual, but kita as a whole. We get to figure out who we are through the art that we put out and the art that we do. And the more that we get to know ourselves through that, like I always say, it's like your cultural ID. So it helps us introduce ourselves better to our neighbors, and it makes us more curious about what our neighbors also have to share in terms of their stories, in terms of their lives, in terms of their culture and their identity. And that makes and that kind of helps to bridge the gaps that we have. And eventually I'm hopeful here, eventually it contributes to this kanitang bridging the cultural gaps that we have regarding the problem of kining Filipino identity, etc. We're so diverse, and we want to homogenize everything. When as a matter of fact, we can't homogenize everything. Our language, the number of languages alone that we have over 180 if you check the language map. Kana pa lang daan daghan na jud kayo. So murag, I think, going back, it's um samok siya that we have to come here pa. But what I'm hopeful about is that um because artists are aware of that pagkasamok niya, there's over the years nagka-strong ang push sa mga regional artists to have access to be able to tell their stories, nga makakuha og workshops, ma-strengthen ang storytelling nga culture sa mga regions, like for example in film, uh, workshops, nga na they put up their own film festivals. Like Nabunturan in Compostela Valley has its own film festival, which is really wonderful. And that's like a really small, that's like a really
Mm.
small town, and they have their own film festival. It's amazing. Sa music, sa music nato, di ba? Sa music nato sa Cebu, it has been doing okay in the last decade or so, and it's I think that's very important. We also tell our stories through music, di ba? So muna siya kung
Me, I
feeling
can
ana.
I can tell I can tell you from like somebody who lives here. Here's I wanted to get to this part like further down the interview and that,
Uh,
but like here's my problem. No, so like my problem with like local film in general is
mm-mm,
that uh I mean like me, I can barely speak Bisaya, much less
mm-mm,
Tagalog. No,
mm-mm.
so if mutanaw ko og, like Tagalog nga film, it's really difficult for me.
Yeah.
No, so like and then also you can probably tell I'm probably not the demographic generally speaking, 'di ba?
Uh,
So so whenever I see a Cebuano film, like malingaw gid ko. Like it's
uh,
actually a really fun experience like kanang like katong and then it was really fun in particular when it's a Cebuano film that not even well, yeah, Cebuano film that does well like katong Patay na si Jesus.
mm-mm,
I
mm-mm.
remember I remember watching it, and then of course
Yeah.
lingaw kay Mick,
Uh,
you can really relate to the whole thing because it's really like a portrait of Cebu, no? Or of a Bisaya culture basically. And so lingaw kay me, and I watched it with my wife and lingaw kay me. And then I remember having lunch with my mom. And then my mom goes, "Uy, ingon si Diana, like her friend ba? Kana, uy, mutanaw daw ta ani, patay na si Jesus." I'm like, oh, when I heard it na from my mom, I was like, oh wow, it must be doing really
mm.
well. Once it reaches the like
Yeah.
kana ana ka wide nga spread ba. Then I was like, wow, like I mean, it was really nice to see something like that, and even just to see representation
Mm,
in that sense from on the big screen like in a movie theater, diba?